How did the #1 Auburn withstand Alabama's surge in the second half to win the championship for the 18th time in a row? When Auburn walked into its locker room at halftime against Alabama, it could have easily patted itself on the back. The top-ranked Tigers were, after all, enjoying a 14-point lead over their cross-state rivals after a dominating first half that saw their lead grow to as large as 19 points. Instead of prematurely congratulating each other for a job well done, Auburn instead discussed what it knew was bound to come in the second half, a surge from Alabama. Read more Auburn hoops. Walker Kessler gets redemption, overwhelms Alabama on both ends of court. Bruce Pearl strikes crane pose after sweeping Alabama. That's kind of what a rivalry's all about. Goodman, noise of Auburn basketball only just beginning. We expected them to go on a run, Auburn point guard Wendell Green Jr. said. They are an electric offensive team. We talked about it at halftime, but we didn't let it faze us. Sure enough, that rally from Alabama came after halftime. The Tide opened the second half on an 18-6 run, spurred by jolts of offense from Jahvon Quinerly, who had 9 of Alabama's first 12 points, and Jaden Shackelford, whose back-to-back three-pointers cut Auburn's lead to 2 with 14:34 to play. A hush began to fall over the once deafening crowd at Auburn Arena as the packed house watched Auburn's lead deteriorate for the first 6+ minutes of the second half. The nation's top-ranked team didn't flinch. Instead, it adjusted. We knew they were a good team, so they are going to have their run, but we knew we were going to have ours too, Auburn center Walker Kessler said. Auburn responded with a 24-6 run over the next 7:20 of action, its lead ballooning to 20 points with 7:04 to go, as the Tigers ran away with their 18th straight win, 100-81, and completed the season sweep of the Tide. After starting the half shooting 1 of 9 from the floor, Auburn hit 6 of its next 8, as well as 9 of its next 18 after that frigid start. The offense found some life, but Auburn weathered Alabama's best shot thanks in large part to a switch to zone defense early in the half. 4 of Alabama's first 5 baskets after halftime came on layups, and its offense did a good job of drawing fouls early on, with Auburn called for 3 fouls in the first 62 seconds of the half. That wasn't going to cut it for Auburn, so Pearl switched to a zone defense to help fortify the Tigers' presence at the rim and force the Tide to take more outside shots. After Alabama opened the half making 7 of its first 9 shots, including 3 of 5 from three-point range, Auburn buckled down in its zone and came up with stop after stop. Alabama missed 11 of its next 13 shots and saw a heavier reliance on attempts from beyond the arc, missing 7 of its next 8 from deep. Along with forcing Alabama into lower percentage attempts, Auburn's defense also forced 3 turnovers during that 7-minute stretch, all of them steals by Kessler, who finished with 4 on the night to go along with 8 blocks. We couldn't keep them in front, and we were fouling them, Pearl said. We had 3 fouls in the first minute of the second half. That's not a great way to start the second half, so we went to the zone, and the zone slowed them down, put them on the perimeter a little bit, and kept Walker and Dylan at the rim. That was, I think, the difference, that and the bench. Auburn's depth again made a difference during that stretch, as the Tigers' bench outplayed and outlasted the Tides. 12 of the first 17 points for Auburn during its second half surge came from reserves, with Green scoring 7 of his team-high 23 points during that 24-6 run. That, of course, came after he accounted for 4 of Auburn's first 6 points in the second half, keeping the Tigers afloat as the Tide made its run after the break. Making the Tigers' push even more impressive was that freshman phenom Jabari Smith was on the bench for almost the entirety of it. We just ran out of some gas, Alabama coach Nate Oates said, and they are deep. When Wendell Green comes off the bench, he's not in the starting group, so he doesn't start the game, and you see he played 27 minutes. He doesn't really come in for the first 4 minutes of the game and the first 4 minutes of the second half. After that, he's in the game most of the time. They bring him off when we're a little more tired and he kind of gives them a little spark, and we didn't really have that. Maybe we needed it off the bench tonight. Auburn also got key scoring contributions from Jalen Williams and Devin Cambridge during that stretch, as the Tigers' bench outscored the Tides 44-20 on the night, while Dylan Cardwell blocked a shot during that lockdown stretch from Auburn's defense. Those 3 finished a +20, +23 and +7, respectively, while on the court. Alabama made a nice run to start the second half, Pearl said. Our bench came in and got several stops. I thought the zone was good and was an effective change there in the second half. Tom Green is an Auburn beat reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at Thomas_Verde.